The metallic tang of perm solution and cheap perfume hung heavy in the air, but the tension thickening the atmosphere felt far sharper. Maya, usually a cool cucumber under pressure, felt a bead of sweat trace a cold path down her neck as the woman known only as Karen rose slowly from the hydraulic chair. This was the moment of truth, the split second before the applause or the firestorm. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic little drum solo playing just for her. I think we are done here, ma'am," Maya managed, her voice steadier than her hands, which still clutched her prized tools. The Mizutani scissors, sleek, titanium finished, and worth $400, her lifeblood, really. Karen's reflection stared back from the mirror, a mask of frozen, critical rage. She looked at her new asymmetrical bob, then at Maya, then back at the hair. "Are you kidding me right now? What in the actual hell is this disaster?" She spat, her voice climbing 3 octaves instantly, shattering the salon's peaceful background hum of soft jazz. Maya instinctively took a deep, almost gasping inhale, smelling the fresh-cut hair mingled with her own mounting anxiety. This wasn't just a bad review. This was a declaration of war. Maya had spent 90 meticulous minutes perfecting that cut, correcting the amateur job Karen insisted she'd gotten at a cheap mall spot last week. She'd listened patiently to Karen's bizarre demands. "I want the volume of a lion's mane but the sleekness of a seal, and also, it needs to look effortless." And she delivered a genuinely stunning, if aggressive, modern look. "Ma'am, I followed the exact reference photos you provided, plus the text you sent me this morning specifying the undercut fade," Maya explained, trying to keep her tone level, professional, and utterly calm. But Karen didn't want professionalism. She wanted drama. She slammed her palm down on the marble counter, making the display jars of pomade shudder. "Don't you dare gaslight me, you pathetic little snip. That undercut looks like a badger attacked my neck. Where is your manager? I want a full refund. I want the name of your licensing board, and I want an additional $500 for emotional distress." Maya sighed, a long, drawn-out exhalation that she hoped Karen would interpret as patience, not defeat. "My manager is on maternity leave, and I am the senior stylist, ma'am. I understand you're upset, but the policy clearly states—" "Policy? I am the policy," Karen roared, her eyes wide, glistening with a mixture of real tears and manipulative fury. The other 2 clients, mid-color treatments, were now openly staring, their heads cocked like startled pigeons. The salon's sudden, horrified silence was deafening, interrupted only by the distant drip-drip of water running in the back sink. It was the sight of Maya's Mizutanis that seemed to short-circuit the last vestiges of Karen's control. They lay innocently on the black station mat, glinting under the recessed spotlights, objects of precision, far too expensive for this level of madness. Karen leaned across the counter, her face contorted, her breath hot and sour with unbrushed morning teeth. These expensive little toys you use to ruin people's lives," she hissed. Before Maya could react, before the words could form in her mouth, Karen's hand shot out. It was shockingly fast. She snatched the $400 scissors off the mat. "Oh my God! What are you doing?" Maya cried out, her protective instinct immediately kicking in. The sharp points of the Mizutanis were now aimed loosely in Maya's general direction, held in a hand that was visibly shaking with adrenaline and uncontrolled rage. "You think you're so talented? You think you can just laugh at my hair? You're going to fix this, or I swear to God, I will fix you," Karen shrieked, making an aggressive, if clumsy, jab with the professional tools. Maya backed up instantly, her heart now pounding not in fear of a bad review, but in genuine, paralyzing terror. The world seemed to slow down. The scissors' titanium body caught the light, gleaming menacingly. The smell of fear replaced the hairspray. Maya thought, "This is it? My career ends over a bad bob?" It was in that microsecond of pure, visceral panic that the most unexpected thing happened. The man sitting quietly in the waiting area, scrolling through his phone, a guy Maya had dismissed as just waiting for his wife, stood up. He was wearing a ridiculously generic polo shirt and khakis, looking utterly forgettable. But the moment he moved, his whole demeanor changed, radiating authority. "Ma'am, drop the weapon. Now," he commanded, his voice deep and entirely devoid of emotion, the kind of voice that meant business and held no room for argument. Karen, mid-scream, mid-meltdown, didn't even glance at him. "Stay out of this, you civilian," she yelled, tightening her grip on the Mizutanis. "That's right, Karen, call him a civilian," Maya thought, suddenly seeing the twist unfold. The man didn't move fast, but with purpose. He reached to his hip, not for a gun, but for a taser. "A taser. Last warning. Drop the shears," he stated. Karen just laughed. A high, manic, hysterical sound that was truly chilling. "I said stay out of it. I'm a paying customer, and I'm going to teach this little girl a lesson about service." The sound was less of a crack and more of a sharp, electrical thwip, immediately followed by a loud, visceral thwack as the two probes hit Karen square in the midsection. Mid-meltdown, mid-shriek, mid-sentence, Karen's body locked up. Her eyes went wide, the rage replaced instantly by a look of sheer, confused electrocution. The $400 Mizutani scissors clattered harmlessly to the floor, rolling to a stop near the discarded hair clippings. Karen dropped like a sack of rocks, her meticulously curled hair now splayed messily across the pristine white tile. The waiting man, who turned out to be an off-duty county sheriff deputy waiting for his daughter, calmly stepped over her, pulled out his actual police radio, and said, "We have a 10 to 33, 10 to 4 on the floor, suspect neutralized. Need EMS and a transport unit for disorderly conduct and felony assault with a deadly weapon." Maya stood there, breathing heavy, her hands covering her mouth, watching the whole scene unfold in disbelief. A wave of trembling relief washed over her, making her knees weak. She wasn't fired, she wasn't hurt, and her prized tools were safe. The other clients cheered. "Did that just happen?" one woman whispered, giggling nervously. Maya just nodded, tears finally starting to fall, but they were the cleansing tears of justice. She picked up her scissors, wiped them carefully, and placed them back in their leather case. Karen learned the hard way that day. Your entitlement doesn't trump someone else's dignity or safety. Actions, especially those involving $400 weapons, have definitive, painful consequences. Never confuse a service industry employee for a doormat. Always stand your ground.